So I only have a few dedicated days to work, and then the rest of the week I try to get as much done while my son naps. So before I was just focusing on making things and not really on selling them, which is not how you should be running a business.
If you're a new mom and you're trying to build your jewelry business, you might think that you do not have enough time. And I totally get it. I get the responsibilities of being a new mother. But what if you could actually build your business during nap time? Well, there's a will and there's a way. And that's why I'm interviewing my very special guest today, Paige Barbee of Paige Barbee Jewelry. We're gonna get into that in just a minute. But before I do, hey there, I'm Tracy Matthews. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish and Thrive Academy, and I help jewelry business owners launch, grow, and scale successful 6 to multiple 6 figures and beyond jewelry businesses that allow them the lifestyle freedom to actually be moms and do the thing that they love and make a living at it. So if you're interested in building your own successful side hustle or full-time jewelry business, we are here to support you along the way. So let's dive into this episode. But before I do, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure that you hit that little subscribe button and make sure that you click that notification bell so that you're notified when we release new videos and new content. All right, let me introduce Paige. Paige is a busy mom who also has a retail store called Paige Barbee Jewelry in Nashville, Tennessee. She is a graduate of our Laying the Foundation program, and she prides herself on designing jewelry that has meaning for the wearer. Let's dive into this episode with Paige. All right, I'm so excited to be here today with a very special guest, Paige Barbee of Paige Barbee Jewelry. Paige, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am thrilled to have you. You know, Chelsea and I were chatting behind the scenes a little bit about your business a few months ago, and you had written in some amazing results that you got from taking our Laying the Foundation program and participating in a lot of the different things that we have to offer over here at Flourish and Thrive Academy. So I'm excited to chat with you today because we were chatting in the pre-interview and messaging back and forth, and you shared some things that I think would be really helpful to our audience as they're thinking through how they can grow their business in 2024. So I'm excited to have you.
Well, thank you.
So tell me a little bit more about your business and how you got started in the jewelry industry.
Sure. So I actually started in college. I majored in metals and jewelry, and I really wanted to either be a jewelry designer or an art jeweler. And I graduated college in 2009. So during the recession, when nobody was hiring, so it was really hard for me to find a design job. And then I realized like nobody's really spending money right now. Who the heck is going to want to buy an art jewelry piece? So I wasn't really sure, how to use my skills for a full-time job quite yet. So from there, I did a artist residency while I did a bunch of odd jobs. So like it's embarrassing, but I worked at Subway for a little bit. I did some food service. And then so I'm like sandwich artist to jewelry artist.
I love that.
But I worked in jewelry stores as a salesperson, so that has really helped me sell my own jewelry. And then a few years later, I started working other jobs. I had like a full-time job and a part-time job. And then my husband had an opportunity to take a job in Nashville, where we are now. So we moved in 2018. And when I was looking for a studio space, I found the perfect, like my store is tiny, but I found the perfect little space. It's 300 square feet that I was able to use as a store and studio space. So then I opened my store, quit all of my jobs, and then went full into my jewelry business then.
Quit all the jobs. I love that.
Yeah.
So you said something earlier. You took a metal arts program and you were deciding between becoming a jewelry designer versus an art jeweler. Now, the two of us know the difference of that. But for people listening who might not know the difference, can you define what the difference between like maybe jewelry designer mentality is versus art jeweler mentality? Because I think that's
Sure.
an important distinction.
Yeah. And if you know, like, you can probably see the duality inside
Yes.
myself too, like that I was so interested in both. So I actually interned with Liz Claiborne in jewelry design.
Uh-huh.
So I was in New York working for them, but jewelry designers like in the fashion world
Hmm.
are just like hand drawing or doing drawings in CAD. And the one thing I didn't like about that is it just didn't seem as creative as I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be. They were, it makes sense now as a business owner, but whatever was selling well last year is kind of what they wanted to replicate. And I was like, well, this is boring. I want to do something new. But anyway, and then art jewelry is more of like big statement pieces that, you might not actually be wearing every day. So they tell more of a story. And for my senior thesis, like I did more of like an art jewelry focus and I created molds of feet and like
Molds of
shackles.
feet.
Yeah, like so it was based off the seven deadly sins. So I just kind of wanted to tell an interesting story through my jewelry because I really think I'm an artist at heart. So hopefully that kind of explains a little bit
Yeah,
of
I
the
love that.
difference.
So we have had a lot of art jewelers who come through our programs. And I feel like sometimes the biggest challenge with them is that they feel like they're selling out if they make something that's commercially accepted, like
Yeah.
meaning they make something that people want to buy in a repeatable way. And
Hmm.
it's been an interesting journey for me because when we first started Flourish and Thrive Academy years ago, Robin Kramer, my co founder, and I were asked to go be part of this panel for SNAG, the
Hmm.
Society for North American Goldsmiths. And it was interesting because we're coming from this more like production world, and they're all like, how do we keep this art jewelry thing alive? And the person who was the president of SNAG at that time, you could tell she was just at the end of her rope because she was in academia. She'd been teaching for years. And she's like, I don't even understand. And I think that SNAG maybe at that time was having some challenges with leadership and there was a change of the guard happening. And it was an interesting process because she's like, I don't even understand the purpose of all this work that I've made. Like I have a closet full of stuff that's just sitting there that's never sold. And I think at that point, there was like a turning point a little bit in the committee because artists deserve to make money with their art and to create something that is saleable, I guess is the best way to put it. Like without feeling
Exactly.
like they're selling out. And I think that there's this huge conflict sometimes inside of art jewelers. How did you overcome that?
Well, just interesting because I think it was just, I changed over time. I progressed over
Mhm.
time. So I even in college, they had a course available to us that we could take about like production. And I was like, no, I don't want to take that. I'm not going to do any type of production. I'm going to all do one of a kind. So now looking back, I was like, what was I thinking? But yeah, I think just I found my own way through my jewelry and kind of discovered that I am still creating unique pieces, but in order to sustain my business and not get overwhelmed, making all of this jewelry myself, creating pieces that I can produce multiples of is the best way to go about it.
And I think the cool thing, especially if you do have an art jewelry background, is that you always have the skill set and the opportunity to make some significant and like magnificent pieces if you did want to just make those for fun or have them on display or to make them and actually sell them, for a much higher
Right.
price, like if you wanted to do that. But I think having the skill set and the mentality of like, how can I make something that people actually will buy if I want to make a living as an artist?
Yeah. And then I also looked in like to myself, what kind of jewelry am I actually wearing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like introverted and shy and my fashion choices kind of reflect that like pretty simple, a lot of times I'll wear like a rocker tee, like a band tee, my jewelry, but I'm not out here wearing big giant bold pieces. So I
Yeah.
love to wear pieces that you can wear every day. I've got like jewelry on that was passed down from my grandmother. My grandfather used to make jewelry. He actually owned a dental prosthetics lab where he would make teeth and
Wow.
dentists and those type of people actually use a lot of the same tools that we use as jewelers. So I was passed down many of his tools as well as jewelry
Mm.
that he made. So stuff like that is special to me. And I wasn't wearing the big crazy pieces. So I kind of started to lean into what I actually was wearing myself.
I love that. Now, I want to dive into some of the marketing stuff that you talked about. One of the things that we spoke about when we were doing your pre interview is we talked about your dream client and how that impacted your marketing. Like, tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. So when I was originally designing what is now my new collection, I thought that my dream client would be somebody more like me, a millennial. And then since a lot of my pieces are heirloom inspired, I
Mhm.
thought, it'll be a millennial that has a young child because she's thinking about starting her family and passing down
Yeah.
her items. But once I opened my store and I actually saw who was buying my jewelry, it wasn't her. She thought it was pretty, but she wasn't really focused on treating herself.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah. So I was like, okay, well, who is actually buying my jewelry? And when I was doing laying the foundation, it kind of walks you through thinking about your dream
Mhm.
client and asking all these questions. And when I started going through that, I realized that she was older. She was probably the millennial's mom who
So interesting.
was, yeah, she was out shopping. So my store is in a tourist location. So we get
Uh-huh.
tons of tourists coming through that are traveling. So right now, my dream client is somebody in her 50s and 60s that is traveling with her husband, and her kids are adults, and maybe she is starting to have like her first grandchildren. So she's starting to think about her
Yep.
legacy and buying stuff for herself or maybe, to pass down to those grandchildren.
So where is your store located in Nashville?
It's called Marathon Village is the building that it's in. It's a historic building that used to be an old car manufacturing building. So it's like in the hallway has all the history of the cars that
Mhm.
were built there, and then it's all sorts of like local stores throughout as well. So it's
Oh,
really
is
neat.
that down, like, kind of in the downtown area of Nashville? I wish
It's like a
that's it.
mile from Broadway. And
Okay.
then the American Pickers that have a TV show, they have a store there. So that's how a lot of people hear about our location. They'll come and visit to see what they have.
Okay, I'm definitely going when I'm in Nashville next year because I think I'm gonna
Yeah,
be
come and
there because
visit.
yay. I feel like everyone's moving to Nashville. It's like the place to
Right?
be.
Yeah. I grew up about an hour away, so it was like
Oh.
never that cool to me, you know? I wanted to get away from home, but now there's, like, so much here, it really is a good place to be.
So, I love that. I love well, first of all, I never really thought this is a little bit of a sidebar, but, like, I hadn't spent a lot of time in Nashville. My first time there was for my sister's bachelorette party, like, I don't know, which you're probably like, "That's so annoying because everyone goes for a bachelorette party,"
Right?
but, like,
Yeah.
this was, like, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and the funny thing is, like, we did all the things, right? Like, we did the stuff on Broadway, we went to the Grand Ole Opry and pretty much everything like all I saw was like that like crazy party energy of Nashville. So like last
Right.
year I went for a retreat and we ended up spending time out in Franklin. I'm like, Nashville is like one of the most peaceful, beautiful places when you're not like in the middle of all that energy. It's pretty awesome.
It really is.
Yeah. Anyway, and I'm like selling Nashville to people who want to maybe move there now.
Yeah, come here.
So you have a store and that's going to require you to kind of think through branding and stuff like that. So what makes your brand unique and different, do you think?
So I don't try to focus on trends. I
Mhm.
want our jewelry pieces to be something that you're gonna wear for years. So when I'm designing something, I try to think about how it'll stack and layer with pieces that I'm already making, or maybe some pieces that you have that were passed down to you and that are important to you in your collection. And then I also try to think about what my jewelry could symbolize for the wearer.
Mhm.
So, I love making pieces that can represent different milestones or
Mhm.
reminders of people that were close to you. And it's always the best feeling when somebody comes into the store and sees a piece of jewelry and their face just lights up. And they're like, oh my goodness, this reminds me of my sister or my grandmother. Like they
I
have a
love that.
story just looking at the piece. So that's
Oh,
always
I
my
love
favorite.
that. I love that so much. Oh, I just got the chills. That's so great. Now, we're gonna focus on some tactics, but I want to kind of precede this. You took our laying the foundation program
Mhm.
and you learned a lot about marketing during that program. So I'd love to hear just a little bit more about what you learned in that program that has helped you grow your business over the last couple of years and really get a great result.
As a jeweler, I make all the jewelry, I do all of our CADs. I
Mm,
basically do everything but CAD. Any of the marketing that we were doing was just like me randomly posting on Instagram basically whenever
mm.
I would remember. So,
Typical.
yeah, or, just
I
super
feel that
random stuff.
sometimes.
And then, having the retail store, I am super lucky that we get in like an influx of new customers every day that weren't coming just for us. So they're just like accidental customers that we get. So I needed to be doing marketing, but I was just really focused on making sure that the store was stocked of stuff to sell to the people that we were
Mhm.
getting in already. And then right when I joined laying the foundation, I think my son was 11 months old at the time. And I was just like really burnt out. And if you've had a baby, like you don't sleep. So my mind was, just jumbled and full of so much. And I really didn't know where I wanted to focus or where I should be focusing. So laying the foundation helped me create like systems, kind of pointed me in the right direction on where I should be marketing. Because, like I said, I was kind of just focusing on Instagram, even though I wasn't getting any return on that. It was a fun app to be on, but it wasn't really making me money.
So let's talk. What were the specific marketing tactics that you used?
So, this sounds obvious, but I started emailing more. Before it was just like randomly, and like I would say once a month at most, like,
Okay.
but most likely like every 3 months or something. And it was usually just when I was having a sale or a new collection. You're in your business so much, so you think like, oh, everybody already knows that I'm doing this. You know,
Yeah.
I posted about this once. Why aren't people coming to buy it? So it just encouraged me to actually start sending emails more frequently because, people aren't opening every single email that they're getting. And if they are, they're not, acting on it instantly. So something might come up or it's going to take them a few times to get that email before they actually purchase anything from you.
That's true. Now, when you were emailing once every 3 months or so, or maybe once a month, because I know this is huge for a lot of people. You heard us say it like you need to email more than you
Mhm.
think. How did you get over the fear of emailing so much? And then kind of what has been the result of you emailing more? And how often are you emailing now?
So I'm still trying to get better. I know it's not as much as I should be doing, but right now I do at least once a week
That's
for
great.
an email. And then if I have like a big promotion going on, I've been trying my best to actually plan ahead. So before, I think, an hour before I sent the email, I was making it like, come shop, it just launched. But now, I'm planning about 2 weeks ahead of time
Great.
and actually mapping out what days, what times these emails need to be going.
How has that helped you grow your sales?
Oh, it's helped tremendously. And I know, like I said, it's obvious, like you're going to be sending these emails to encourage people to go to your website and shop. So I've been sending emails and then within an hour making sales. And I'm always so surprised that they're working.
Yeah. Why is
But
that?
I don't know. But that's encouraging me to actually stay consistent and continue to email more frequently.
Do you feel like the emails work best for helping you get people to just buy online, or do they also help you get more people into the store?
I think buying online, I'd say that most of our sales come through our store. I've really been trying to up our online purchases. When we get tourists that come by and buy something from us, they usually go back home
Yeah.
and they're not going to come back to see us maybe for a year or so. And it's always exciting when people do come back to see us when they are back in
Yeah.
town. But this way has really helped me stay connected to those customers once they go back home and remind them, hey, don't forget about us. We actually can ship to you wherever you are. So come back and shop with us through our website.
That's amazing because that like, one of the things that we teach and is like the most important core part of building any business is getting repeat customers or being able to ascend your customers along the journey. And like an average for most businesses is somewhere between 10 to 20%. But if you can increase that even more to like 30, 40, 50, 60, like Chelsea, I talked about Chelsea a few times in this episode, but Chelsea is one of our head coaches over here. Her jewelry business gets like 80% return customer rate. Have you been able to track your return customers? Have you been tracking it?
I haven't been tracking it. That's
Okay,
something
I
I
want you
should
to start.
focus on.
I want you to start tracking it so you can pay attention.
Okay.
Especially because if you have a mostly a tourist business, it's like a one and done sale, right? So if you're able
Right.
to get people to come back, for someone like you, that's a huge win. I'm not turning this
Mhm.
into a coaching session, but just
I
kind of.
appreciate it.
Okay, awesome. What are some of the other strategies that you've been leaning into that you learned in laying the foundation for your marketing or for anything in
Um,
your business, I should say?
So for email, also, I created an abandoned cart
Oh,
sequence.
yeah.
So that automatically, so I'm not out there reminding people, it automatically reminds people, hey, you left this thing in your cart, come back and get it. And then I've also been trying to lean into the know, like, and trust that
Hmm.
you talk about. So I'm not just sending emails about my promotions or new products. I'm sending emails about, how to clean your jewelry or a little bit about me because maybe they signed up for my email and don't
Yeah,
really know who the heck I am. So just trying to share myself and the brand with them as well.
I love that. That's amazing. From your email strategy, what kinds of emails are you actually sending that you feel like work to get people to buy from you?
I think just reminding people that we're here. So instead of, like I said, I've in the past done a lot of marketing with our sales and promotions, but now I've been sending emails about our best sellers. So people that maybe haven't purchased from us can see what other people are buying. I sent an email yesterday, I think, that showed our best sellers and also had reviews that people had written about those best sellers. So people can get to know and trust our brand a little bit better. And then just showing how you can style our pieces and stack them together with pieces that they may already own is another way that I've been sending emails to.
That's great. And these are really effective strategies too, because you're basically hitting all of the aspects of, bringing people along the buyer journey. You're building trust with the reviews, right? You're showing people, you're building credibility because you're sharing bestsellers, like things that sell really well. And also
Mhm.
you're giving them value because you're showing them how to style the pieces, which is amazing. I love
Yeah.
that.
I've also started sending emails asking for those reviews too once people have purchased. So
Awesome.
I think that's helped a lot. And then I share those on our website and then I post them on social media. So just utilizing all of the information, not just for my emails, but to put it on Facebook or Instagram as well.
When we were kind of like digging into like what we wanted to talk to you for the episode today, you mentioned something about having boundaries with customers. And laying the foundation helped you create stronger boundaries to not just do whatever the customer wants, to really stick closer to your signature style. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. So having the storefront, you get all sorts of people coming in every day. So they're sharing their opinions and whether it's good or bad, I'm hearing everything. So, they say something and then leave and I don't make a sale. So it kind of makes me think, well, maybe I should be doing something differently.
Mhm.
So we've had people, suggest stuff like, "Oh, do you make toe rings? Do you make body jewelry?" And I'm like, "No, we don't." But doing laying the foundation has helped me really focus on our core values. So then I can say, "No, we don't do body jewelry because one of our core values is creating memories with, heirlooms that you're going to pass down to your family." And, I don't really think grandma's nose ring is something that you're going to want to pass down through your family. So, I think my collections were becoming kind of jumbled because, I would make something just thinking I could sell it, and either I wasn't selling it, people would still request it and then they wouldn't buy it, or it just made my collection just less cohesive and I wasn't making
Mhm.
the pieces that really were making people stop and purchase. So those core pieces that we were selling really well were getting kind of muddled with all the other pieces.
That's such a great distinction. And I really want to drive this home for anyone who's feeling like they have to bend their design skills. I know this from my own personal experience because when in 2006 and 2007, I had a great year in business in my first business. That was probably like the eighth and ninth year of that business. When the beginning of 2008 happened, I started noticing that people's buying habits were changing and people were coming in and asking me for different stuff. And even though I knew better at that time, I was like, well, maybe I need to design something different. So I started designing collections in brass and like things that were much bigger scale than I actually felt like was in my zone of genius and stuff like that. And even though I did sell some of it, like it really wasn't the core of what I stood for. And what ended up happening, and this is a good lesson for everyone listening too, when you kind of go off of what your signature style is to try and cater to what a customer wants, you end up diluting your collection and it ends up really severely affecting your sales indirectly. Because even though it's something that you think that they might want and that people will buy, inevitably it doesn't really make sense because it's not really, I guess, in a way like coming from you. I don't know how to explain it more than that.
I think laying the foundation really helped me realize that who I am and what I want my jewelry to be can be successful. I just need to really lean into that and set, all of these things in place in order to for it to be successful. And then my customer will find me, or I can reach, actually know where to find my customer instead of making all of these pieces just to make everyone happy. So I think if you kind of stay into your true path and work on your actual business, keep your designs and your jewelry in something that you're really passionate about, but work on the business side of it, then I think you can really be successful.
I love that. So you decided to join laying the foundation. What was the impetus in getting you to join? Like, why did you decide to come along for the ride?
I've been listening to the podcast for years. And years ago, you had interviewed somebody that was sharing their Facebook sales strategy, I believe.
Yeah.
And like I listened to that episode, I took notes, I listened to it again, and I implemented everything that you guys talked about. At the time, I was working my two jobs and trying to sell my jewelry. I was also wanting to do a stone setting class. So I wanted to raise some money for that. And I did the sale and it was amazing. So, it actually worked. And I was so proud and impressed that all the information that you were giving away for free was helpful. And I was just thinking, if this is what they're giving away for free, what kind of help can I get from the Laying the Foundation program?
Well, I'm glad that you had such great success. I totally remember that. I've done a couple of episodes, and some of those earlier days of people doing Facebook sales were having just such phenomenal results. So I'm glad that you got
Yeah.
the same kind of result, which is amazing.
And then
So
more
what?
recently,
Oh, go ahead. Tell me.
no, I was going to say more recently, you did a boot camp that I joined even
Oh,
after being
yeah.
part of the Laying the Foundation. And it was double your sales or no, double your audience
Yeah.
boot camp. And you did like a lot of information on social media and reels. And I actually most recently posted a reel with one of the hooks that you suggested. And I've gained over 200 new followers and it has over 50,000 views. So for me, like that's huge.
Amazing. So we are having another boot camp coming up. Thanks for plugging that page called the
Oh,
Jewelry
yeah.
Makeover Boot Camp. Make sure that you join because we're going to be talking about some really incredible strategies to help you grow your visibility and your following. And it's an amazing time to start it because it's at the beginning of the year. And in the intro, I've already probably talked about it. So you've heard about it. So make sure that you join us for the boot camp. It's amazing. So tell me a little bit more about how or what parts of the Laying the Foundation program helped you grow your business the most?
Sure. I think the Your Brand Foundation module was the most helpful in me just really digging in and staying committed to my brand and focusing on what I wanted to do with my branding and my jewelry. And my brand is my name, so it was kind of hard to decide like who is Paige Barbee as the person and then who is Paige Barbee as the jewelry brand, because we're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of separating the two. And then the marketing your business module was really helpful. Just helped me make a marketing plan since I didn't have any kind of plan at all. And then I also love the Facebook group that you offer.
Mm-hmm.
It was very helpful anytime I asked a question. Everybody was so open with sharing helpful things. And if they didn't know, they would find out something like somebody that could help me.
I love that. That's so great. How did laying the foundation help you prioritize the right things to do so that you were getting more done? Because I know that when you were taking the program or shortly thereafter, you were having a baby. So you had a
Yes.
lot going on. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I basically had time to implement all this stuff while he was napping. And it's so inconsistent. He might nap for an hour to 3 hours or not at all. So you never know. So just being able to open up like the foundation and the modules and have somewhere to start was really helpful because I really had no idea what I should be doing while he was napping, but I knew I needed to be working on growing the business in some way. So just kind of, going through step by step was helpful.
Awesome. What were some of the specific results that you got from taking the program?
So I'm super excited to share those. I more than doubled my sales last year. And then I also had an increase of 35% in my online sales.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you feel like you were able to get more done in less time because you knew what to focus on?
Yes, it's really helpful since I only have, the small dedicated times to focus on my business instead of just like wasting that time trying to figure out what to do. It definitely helped.
And how are you showing up differently for your business since you take laying the foundation?
So I think I'm doing things more intentionally. So
Mhm.
since I do have more of, the guidelines on what I should be doing, so I only have a few dedicated days to work, and then the rest of the week I try to get as much done while my son naps, like I said. So before I was just focusing on making things and not really on selling them, which is not how you should be running a business, but that's the fun thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then I just feel like I have much better focus as far as how to do the marketing and selling.
I love that. That's amazing. So I'm sure that there's a lot of people listening to this podcast who might be on the fence or wondering, like, is this program actually going to help me? What would you say to someone who's considering laying the foundation?
Say go for it. Just like the name says, it helps you lay the foundation for your business. And I think a lot of artists are just out there making stuff because they enjoy it and really haven't focused on how to run your business properly. So I think before you get too far in your business, it's really helpful to start laying the foundation because otherwise you're going to have to go back and maybe like untangle some of the things
Yeah,
that you've put in place. So I think kind of do it now instead of later.
that's awesome. And where can everyone find you?
They can find me at my website, paigebarbie.com, Instagram, Paige Barbee Jewelry, or I just started a YouTube channel this year. So you can find me at Paige Barbie on YouTube.
That's amazing. Yay. Thank you so much, Paige. Thanks for being here today. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. I love being here.
Thank you so much for listening to the show today. If you're a busy mom or you want to build a successful side hustle or you're ready to go big and go home and build a full-time business that replaces your soul-sucking job's income, then we are here to support you. Join our Laying the Foundation program. It is our 12-week signature program that's designed to help you create consistent, predictable sales in your jewelry business by developing and creating a brand that everyone is talking about. So if you're ready to increase your return customer rate, start getting consistent, predictable sales for your jewelry business, and build a brand that everyone's talking about, here's your invitation to join us for Laying the Foundation. Head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/LTF. On that page, you're going to see the full program details